Who is on upset alert in week 7? I tell you, there are several games I would like to put on this video, but I can't because the spreads wound up being a little bit lower than I anticipated. Especially, two big games in the SEC: Auburn, Georgia, Missouri, Alabama. I think I would like to put those games on here. I think Georgia and Alabama are on upset alert. And some other games where the spread's like 3.5. And technically, I have used 3.5 point spreads before. But we try to go 4 points or more. So yeah, we're trying to find the 8 games that are most likely to be upsets where the spread is 4 points or more. Technically more than a field goal, but again, I only use that 3.5 if I really can't find games. It was not too hard to find games this week. Going back to last week, we had Florida, Texas on the video. That one was an upset. Also, we had Virginia, Louisville. That one was an upset. I'll be honest here though, I missed this one, Penn State, UCLA. So didn't see that one coming. And that was not on the video, but obviously a huge upset there. Although I did say in my expectations video last week that I thought there would be a huge upset that nobody saw coming, and that's exactly what we got. So we look ahead to week 7, and yeah, back to last week though. Again, 2 games every week except for one. We have had 2 of the 8 games be upsets, whereas 1 week where we had 3. And historically, throughout the years, it's always been, on average, 2 games. So the 8 games I give you here today, it's almost guaranteed that at least 2 of them, or most likely 2 of them, will be upsets. So keep that in mind. And, of course, give me your thoughts on which 2 games you think it'll be. I'm going to go from the least likely to most likely. So I think if I had to pick, it would be the 2 at the end. And we'll start here with Ohio State, Illinois. So I really like Ohio State in this game, but there's still enough here. It's at noon Eastern time, Fox game. Ohio State favored by 14.5. They're on the road, noon kick. Like I said, sometimes you see teams struggle, especially early on the road. And Illinois is a team playing with confidence. They've won a couple of big games. They've got a veteran quarterback. Brett Bielema he's a really good coach when it comes to game planning, strategy. They will probably, I don't know for sure, but I think they're probably going to really try to slow this game down or speed the game up, however you want to look at it. They'll probably try to run the ball a lot, hold the ball, keep the Ohio State offense on the sidelines. Now, that's going to be tough to do against this Buckeyes defense, but I think he'll have some tricks up his sleeve. That's just kind of how Brett Bielema is. So that's the big reason why I think maybe we see something here, but really, I do like Ohio State in this game. Let's go next to UCLA, Michigan State. This one's at noon Eastern time as well on the Big Ten Network. Michigan State's favored by 7.5. This is an okay Michigan State team. I mean, they're nothing special. I wouldn't say they're a great, even a good team, really, but they're not a bad team. And then UCLA, we saw what they did last week. So, chances are they're not going to follow that up with another big win. They've got to go on the road here. Probably not going to happen, but again, just based off of what happened last week, I felt like we needed to put this game in the video. Next, we've got South Carolina LSU. This one is at 7:45 Eastern time on the SEC Network. LSU favored by 10 at home. Because of their defense, you feel pretty good about them in this game, but there are some factors here. You got to go back to last year. South Carolina kind of got screwed in that game. This is a revenge game for them. They didn't play great there for a little bit, but they seem like they are playing a little bit better now. And Lenore Sellers is the X factor. He can take a game over. So if he has a big game, I don't trust LSU's offense. So if South Carolina can put some points on the board, they can potentially pull off an upset here. But that's going to be the key because this LSU defense has been really good so far this season. And playing them in Baton Rouge obviously will be very tough. Next, we've got Pitt at Florida State. This game is at noon Eastern time on ESPN. Florida State's favored by 9.5. Florida State clearly has been a better team so far this season. Pitt made a quarterback change, though, and it seemed to work out pretty well for them last week. What I'm looking at here is Florida State losing again. So they lose to Virginia, then they lose to Miami. We saw last year the wheels kind of fall off for Florida State. So you wonder where this team is at after that huge win to kick off the season. If they start, if they lose the locker room a little bit this year, kind of like they did last year, this thing could go south quickly for Florida State. So that's something I'm looking at here. And again, a quarterback change, giving Pitt a spark. Maybe that is enough for them to pull off this upset. Again, like I said, these teams, if you've watched them this year, Florida State's, I think, clearly been the better team, but it's college football. Anything can happen. So it's really, how does Florida State bounce back from that loss? If they lose this game, boy, it's going to be, how quickly things would have changed after that win over Alabama. So this is a huge game for Florida State. It's a must win. I mean, a must win. They cannot lose this game. And does the pressure get to them? We'll see. Next, we've got Iowa State at Colorado, 3:30 Eastern Time. Iowa State, this is on ESPN. Iowa State's favored by 4.5 points. Iowa State's got a ton of injuries. 2 starting corners, and there's other guys as well if you look at the injuries. That concerns me, coming off of their first loss of the season, and also a Colorado team that they've been pretty close at times. Last week was even a close game with TCU. I know they lost by, I think, 2 touchdowns at the end, but it was close throughout. And you go back to the Georgia Tech game, that one was close. So they've been close. Do they finally break through here at home? Kind of a desperate Colorado team. I think this is one to watch out for. They're 2-4. They could really use this win. And again, how does Iowa State bounce back from the loss last week? And how do they overcome these injuries? That's another obviously big story in this game. Next, we've got Indiana at Oregon. This one's at 3:30 Eastern Time on CBS. Oregon favored by 8.5 at home. And, I feel like Oregon probably is going to take care of business here, but Indiana is a good team. And with Penn State looking as bad as they looked last week, you wonder, is Oregon as good as we thought? That's really the reason why this game is on here, because I think that Oregon is that elite team. I think that they will take care of business here, but I am starting to question, the teams that they beat up on are not great. And then the Penn State game, although they really kind of dominated that game. So, the more I think about this game, the better I feel about Oregon. But I just think it's a top 10 matchup. Indiana is capable of, we've seen them. Look at the Illinois game. They played really well in that game. If they play like that, they could have a shot. So this one definitely is interesting, and it's going to be a huge game. Biggest game of the weekend. Next, we've got Nebraska at Maryland, 3:30 Eastern Time on the Big Ten Network. Nebraska favored by 5.5 on the road. Maryland kind of blew the game against Washington last week, had the lead. This is actually a pretty good Maryland team. I think they've shown that. And Nebraska hasn't looked great. They've looked okay. And so, yeah, I think Maryland, it wouldn't shock me at all if they pulled off an upset here at home. That one's definitely one to keep an eye on. And then finally, we've got Arizona State at Utah. This one is at 10:15 Eastern Time on ESPN. Utah favored by 5.5. I still question Utah and how good they are. I think they're a good team. But Arizona State, I really like this Arizona State team this year. Or I like them come into the season. And they lost that game to Mississippi State. And then they've played kind of up and down since then. They've been able to win games. This is more about Arizona State than Utah. I think Arizona State could still be that team to challenge Texas Tech in the Big 12. But it's tough at Utah. Going on the road winning that game, it's going to be very tough. But we saw Texas Tech do it. So, yeah, to me, this is going to be a great game. It's a sneaky game. I mean, I don't know if people are really talking about this game. This is a huge game. It's potentially a game that will determine who goes to the Big 12 championship if Texas Tech takes care of business in their game. So, almost like a play-in game. This will be a big one in the Big 12, and it would not surprise me if Arizona State pulled off this upset. Again, it's a team that I think is getting better and better as the season goes along, and they are capable of pulling off this upset. So those are the 8 games. Which ones do you think will be upsets? Again, if you go by the averages, at least 2 of them will be upsets, or maybe there's one I missed. Again, a bunch of games where the point spread's 3.5 or less, and I didn't really want to use those. So maybe there's another big upset out there. Maybe there's a Penn State UCLA again this week. I don't know. We'll see. Give me your thoughts, your predictions down in the comments below.